What's up, everybody? This is Ripples in Wales, back for another video. I hope you're all doing well and having a great day wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. Good morning to you. It's Tuesday. I had to check my watch there. Been working so much lately. I don't know what day it is. Don't know whether it's up or down. But there we go. So, what have we got going on in the space at the minute? Quite a lot, it seems. We have Bitcoin rallying the past couple of days. Well, certainly from yesterday onwards, as there is a fake call out by the, I believe it was a news outlet, forcing the price of Bitcoin up, expecting an ETF to have been granted. This is in sterling, my own currency. We should always change this before I kind of forget sometimes. Bear with me. We'll put it into USD because everyone knows USD, and that's what probably the largest trading volume goes on to the world. So you had a big old pump yesterday. Yeah, that's we're going to cover that in a second, but the majority of this video is actually going to be on, we're going to look at the night. We're going to look at the night in the bearable guy scenes, and we're going to try and explain what his role is in terms of his defensive position. I mentioned it yesterday in a couple of tweets. Probably can go and have a quick look at that here now. I'll see if I've just got it in my timeline. I dropped some little hints. If you haven't seen them before or haven't covered it, it's kind of important because it backs onto the old guard, it backs onto the old owners of the central banks, and it backs onto the supporting of the dollar. And a lot of people don't realize this when they look at the BG123 scenes, is that the idea is XRP supports the dollar, and this is very, very obvious if you kind of understand how USDC, the stablecoin, and USDT provide liquidity for the dollar globally. Now, I've put here, a knight defends the realm. So first of all, the character. What is he? Okay, and we're going to go on to this a little bit later on, but I'm just going to premise this that the back end of this video is always going to be about this, and we're going to see how Ripple will support the new form of the banking sector, and how this has been talked about before many times, and how these very ingenious cryptographers have left so much data and information around for us to see if we kind of just dig beneath the surface of these things. A knight is a protector of the realm, as I put in here. The knights were formerly they were protectors of pilgrims, believe it or not. That's how the Knights Templar, if you do some reading about knights, this is how they came apart. Or they came about, not came apart. They came apart in the Crusades, unfortunately, but that's another story. I was visiting Greek island this May in 2023, an island called Rhodos, or people known it as Rhodes, and it was the centerpiece of the Knights Templar, and they had a huge castle there because it was the gateway to, I think it's the Aegean, the sea. So that's the kind of a large body of water that sits between, I guess you'd call it, Greece and it would be Turkey on the other side, I think. And that water body was very important for trade, and the Knights Templar controlled that. They had amassed a vast fortune protecting the nobles and the pilgrims and the church. So to understand how the knights came about, they were protectors. The protectors of the money system and the realm, and they came to notoriety through the Knights of the Round Table under King Arthur, who was a Welsh king, a Celtic king, and there were a series of knights that were popularised in various documentaries in Camelot and things like that. Anyway, so you got to understand how the cryptographers in these scenes use caricatures to demonstrate a purpose. And the knight is a very, very powerful significance in the BG123 scenes. I never realised how small he is, in fact, compared to the bear. Interesting. And so, it's of importance. I put in here, we'll go and look at you later on. A knight defends the realm. Shield is for defence. The shield is red. Rothschild's RC is red shield. Rothschild, red shield. I think it's the actual connotation is slightly different, but it translates to red shield. So we've got I've put here now, so Rothschilds is the old guard, and it equals the central banks. So the Rothschilds controlled all the central banks, right? and they had a monopoly on the money printer, not only in Europe. They controlled the UK's strings, they controlled the America's strings by probably the Federal Reserve. And this is what this whole bloody battle has been about. The whole thing of COVID, the whole thing of Trump. It is a battle against money. Now, I've got to be careful I don't get these videos pulled off here, but if you can imagine, they're the old guard, and they controlled the central banks and the money flows. Okay, but we've got a new kid on the block now, which is Ripple and the XRPL, and that's the new era of CBDCs. Okay, and CBDC is outside the control of the Rothschilds family, and the Knight Shield is defending against the Rothschilds. Now, a shield is for defense. It's really important that we get that. Okay, a shield is for defense, and the idea that the Knight is holding up against a shield, holding an X on the red shield, we'll obviously go into that in a minute. The shield is a defensive stance, and obviously you've got your sword across your body, and what is hitting the shield is or what is on the shield is a red shield with an X. Now, the red shield, I believe, is to shield against the old banking dynasty that is the Rothschilds, and he's protecting it with the X, the hooked X, which has many connotations. It is an old symbol. 1 second, let me have a drink of my coffee. And yeah, I'll bring the symbol up in a bit, hopefully. So you've got this connection, and you understand this, that we've got in the bigger picture here, is that he's standing in front of the dollar, and the dollar is the yellow stocking on the mantelpiece. These stockings all came from an earlier, or these colours of these stockings, if you're not aware, where are we? I'll just minimise that for a minute. Is it that one? Right. This is where the colours came from. If you're not aware, you got the yellow, the green, and the purple. Yellow, green, and purple. And this is where we understood what these stockings were on the mantelpiece. And you can see the yellow is the USD, which is formerly controlled by the deep state, the Ouroboros, and the mannequin, held up by the strings of the arm that controls these hidden hands. And now you've got the Knight protecting the dollar here. So we've transitioned, if you see. The Knight was protecting at some point the realm here, and it's almost like he's protecting the bear inside the castle in this way, because the bear has taken over the castle, which is symbolic to kind of give you the connotation of the king's castle is his financial realm. The castle is built to protect his wealth and his power. Once the castle is breached, you have to give up your power and your wealth. And the XRPL and Ripple is the kind of the bear, if you can imagine, entering and kind of forcing its way into the castle, which is the money realm of the old king. Who is the old king? Well, it will be connected up top to the RCs, the Rothschilds, and so on, so forth. It matters not really. The point is, it's the old kingdom, the old realm, the old guard. And this chap here will not be at the top. He will be the controller of the kingdom, and he will have his masters as well, I dare say. So we can see that now that this change, how can I put it? The Knight's position has shifted. He's still in a defensive position, but now he's standing in front of the dollar, which is kind of connected to the XRP. I will minimise that, so you know where that's come from. So he's defending against the arm of the SEC here as one, but and as that was the lawsuit, the case, the whole past 3 years where Ripple and its owners, founders, CEOs have been under great legal suppression. So you've got this arm here which he's defending against, in this, but he's also defending against the dollar. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. We know that the old guard were trying to collapse the dollar, and they've done so through, a wrecking ball of mistakes through, how can I put it, sanctions, misuse of it in deliberate control measures against countries, and countries have opted out. And so the idea is the Knight is protecting the dollar's interests. The dollar won't go away, but as an instrument of trade, as we've seen through the BRICS agreements, is now going to be something else is going to be used. And this is the narrative that they're going to give you. Okay, so he's supporting the dollar here. Don't forget that. That's super, super important in these. Right, jumping through this, we remember the old Ross Vandermeer pictures, which were just gold. We've got the old guard here, Dieu mon droit, to God and my right. And we've got these entities here, I'm not going to even mention them on this channel, and how they tied the world's financials up with their gold reserves embezzled in offshore countries, okay? And how they used this Bitcoin to marry gold as a flight to safety, I dare say. But you can see that they're connected to this, to Bitcoin. The old guard are connected to Bitcoin. And this is really, really important to understand. It's something that I will focus on more in the future. Right, the other thing to, is that, no, it's not that one there. Let's just minimize that. Let's bring this up. So we can see these entities here, the bankers, the old central bankers who've done such a wonderful job. They are also connected to, indirectly, to Bitcoin. Look, ups and down arrows by Ross Vandermeer showing you the Pope. Oh God, I said it. And these guys here, and out my country here, and how they are all connected into Bitcoin. Interesting. And how Coinbase seems to maybe have been involved. Interesting. We shall see. But the understanding of this is that the central bankers, this is what I'm trying to point you towards. This is the old guard. This is the new guard on the left-hand side of the screen. Right-hand side, old guard, new guard. And this is the mess in the middle. How they controlled everything, right? So once you understand that, and you understand that these guys control the central banking systems of the world, okay? Really, really important to get that, okay? Then you understand that what Ripple is doing and what Ripple is building is the new central banks of the world. Right, we can bring this in because Ripple and the XRPL are the ones that are bringing in CBDCs, right? Okay, and everyone's really scared of CBDCs, but they had to build a new system with new CBDCs, with the new central bank currencies, because the old central bank currencies for each country have been wrecked. And, you know, every country is going to experience high inflation towards hyperinflation. We can see this because when we go to Ripple's home main page, we know that they are deeply involved in CBDCs, right? So look, CBDCs implement scalable, secure central bank digital currencies. We can go to Financial Times articles to see that, oh, piss off, right? Hold on, reject all. Ripple. This is Financial News, London, okay? Ripple in talks with over a dozen governments for CBDC. Well, we know it's well more than that. We know that they're probably working with 20 plus another 20 that they ain't telling us. Back in 2018, Ripple were working with, from what I gather, 40 to 60 governments. That was from one of the chief strategists for, I think it was, not law, but compliance. I forget her name now. I think it might be, wasn't Monica Long, it was someone else. Anyhow, so we know Ripple are deeply involved in the world of central banks. Okay, and so to understand the night and where the hell is that go on? To understand the night and this picture, you have to understand the central bank model and the changeover of guard. Okay, so yesterday when I put, excuse me. When I put down in this tweet yesterday, tweet thread about the knight and the CBDCs, you understand that he's defending against the old Rothschild's dynasty, and they are supporting the dollar through new CBDC means and other means as well. Stable coins, USDC, Tether, they have all a role to play in this because they create so much more liquidity for the dollar. Think of USDC now as a token. Okay, it's on the Stellar network. It's rooted into pretty much every other network, from Avalanche to DOT to the XRPL to Ethereum to Algorand to Cosmos to DOT. It goes on. Okay, they've pegged it onto every single network and chain, and then Stellar is routing it out into all of its MoneyGram outlets. So the US dollar, through the means of a synthetic stablecoin, is getting enormous liquidity. And that's how they will support it. But ultimately, it will be on the XRPL. And that will probably have the largest throughput because What have Ripple done? They've gone for the payments market, okay? And payments touch everything. And so if Ripple has the largest throughput in payments, then it will touch the largest volume in dollars. And remember, Ripple is wholesale institutional money, okay? It's not retail, it's wholesale institutional. And this is why you're so early at the party, okay? They've not even really cranked up the machine yet. Anyhow, I wanted to cover that this morning for you to understand that the role of the night in this, and the role of the change in the central banks, and how Ripple is at the absolute forefront of this. And remember the goal, okay? You have to understand this as like a bicycle wheel. This is the analogy I give some of my clients. If you've got a bicycle wheel, you've got a hub in the middle with 50 or so, 60 spokes. I don't know how many spokes there are. We'll call it 50. The hub in the middle is the XRPL, okay? And the spokes coming off are the central bank connected inroads to these hubs through federated side chains, through various other means. Now, each of the spokes represents a country, a currency, and a government, if you will, okay? And they're all tying in to this hub, which is the XRPL, and the token of choice for supporting its liquidity is XRP. Now, they can build outside of the XRPL. Obviously, this is all on private chains. They may not even use federated sidechains anymore. They may use a complete parallel ledger. However, they will always use and settle with the native token. This is why they're going to be building a lot of the other layer 2 stuff on the XRPL and not affecting the L1, because the L1 is kind of sacred to the central banking core, and they don't want to disturb it. This is why things are very slow to come onto the XRPL. That's why hooks is probably so slow to come on there. Anyhow, I've carried on. In other news, I was looking quite a lot about this morning. There's a lot of noise again about these ETFs. A lot of noise to do with ETFs. Look, this is Digital Perspective Channel, BlackRock, talking about how crypto will play a role, flight to quality. I think it will. We look at Coin Bureau. There was a fake. This is Bitcoin Magazine. Breaking reports: BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF approval false. Company says under review. So what happened was an article was pushed out. By a fake article by Cointelegraph. This is where the corruption lies. They posted out an article saying that the spot Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock had been allowed, and the markets rallied, and there was enormous capitulation of, I think it was 100 million in shorts, or 60 to 100 million in shorts, when it went up to about, I think, just touching 29,500, and then it fell back on itself. But it started something. There's momentum building now, which is interesting. But it's this. All this energy towards the Bitcoin ETFs, do you not feel it's a distraction? I've got Bitcoin, and I'll continue to stack Bitcoin, but it's ironic that there's so much narrative and energy. This is the thing to be so mindful of. When the media circus is banging the drum like this heavily on Bitcoin ETFs, it tells me that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you're not seeing. It's like, watch this hand, but don't look this hand. And this is how you've got to keep your contrarian mindset pinned, guys. This is how I certainly keep mine. Anyhow, there was a big old article about that yesterday. I think it was here. If you go back, this is kind of I've put in here, fake article, Bitcoin ETF. And straight away, it'll bring you up a load of articles. And this is where Cointelegraph, the ironic thing is Cointelegraph within the hour had some sort of news briefing about its mistake. And it blamed the industry about the fast-moving pace of it. Well, it does happen. But, it's interesting, right? It wouldn't surprise me that these articles are pushed out deliberately to manipulate markets by hedge funds, as they've always been. And I hope this comes to light and it gets cleaned up. Anyhow, enough for this for now. This is my Twitter profile, @Ripples in Wales. Come and say hi, give us a follow. And please give the video a like, drop a comment, please subscribe. It's good to see you all here. It's nice to see you in the comments. I read every single one of your comments, and I also reply. I hope this has been a good little intro for you all to understand who this knight is, what he represents, and what the kind of mystery behind this red shield. I didn't go into the X on his shield here. It is of importance. It's to do with the Hooks logo, but it goes way back further than that. We'll cover this in another video. I haven't got time to do this one now. But it also supports the idea of X being 2024, which is the year of the dragon next year. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. Have a great day all, and be blessed.